Hey, and welcome to RealTOC. Today I'm going to meet Tom Stratton, a fellow Cavalry Scout, at Kennesaw Battlegrounds. We're going to do a hike, then we're going to head back to the studio and talk about some great things that he's been doing for veterans in his community. There he is.
What's up,
Mr.
man?
Tom. My man, how you doing?
Man.
It's good to see you, bud. I'm not quite the hiker, and I assume that you are. So I'm gonna let you just show me whatever this place is, because it's already growing on me.
Sounds good. We'll shoot off this way. You want on pavement or you want off-road?
I'm here with you, buddy.
Off-road,
yeah,
man.
Turn it loose.
Off-road.
Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
Are you originally from Georgia? Like you?
Not originally, but I would say that I'm definitely adopted. I've been here for about 40 years, so pretty good while.
I think you're a Georgia guy.
Yeah, I'm a Georgia guy. 40 years, man.
Makes sense.
I had several conversations with people over the years about why do veterans not really open up to civilians that much. That's simple. We're carrying around that burden. You don't want to burden somebody else with that.
Do you work with? I see that you work with a lot of veterans. What is it that you really do?
I'm the Cherokee County Veterans Committee chair, so which doesn't really mean anything. It just means that I try to advocate for vets wherever I can. Cherokee County Police Department, I have a CRT contact there.
Oh, cool.
And they'll reach out. Yeah, that's really cool. That's a blessing. And every once in a while they'll call me with somebody, veteran that didn't get into anything serious, but I'm going through a divorce, whatever. And we'll make sure they got a place to live, toiletries, all that kind of stuff. First time CRT reached out to me, I was working with the MilVet community, and very awesome group of guys, and they kind of advocate locally. And somehow I'd heard about us and reached out to me and asked me, hey, we've got this guy that's suicidal. He's kind of held up in his house. The tenants don't know what to do with him. I guess it was right on the Cobb County Cherokee line. So they were like, Cobb County doesn't want to do anything with it. We don't know what to do. We technically can't go in.
Oh man.
They tried to do a wellness check. He wouldn't answer the door. He was the real deal, man. Carrying all that weight, like intoxicated. And when you're dealing with intoxicated people, I wasn't a professional. I felt like God was laying at my feet, so I got to do it. So I actually left work, drove straight to that house. And the tenant was there to let me in and went up. I ended up sitting with that guy for about 2 hours.
Wow.
And I remember being terrified in the car. And I don't get very, once you've seen some things, you don't get as scared. It's not that you're not.
Different nerves.
Yes, different nerves.
Different nerves, yeah.
I realized, I was like, I don't know anything about what's about to happen. This guy's armed and he's awesome. Awesome guy. He's just in a bad spot. But, what saved me was going in and sitting down and just talking to him like me and you were talking.
Yeah.
We started exchanging some stories. I say same blood, same mud, but it was sand. But we went to some of the same places. There was some cross paths. That guy ended up getting help. We got him into the VA, did detox, and now he actually works for another veterans advocacy program.
Oh wow.
And he moved to another state, but doing great. And it was kind of a victory, where you're like, you don't have to focus on saving every life, you just gotta save one. So,
well put.
Kind of where it started.
Well, in hindsight, seeing as he's doing what he's doing, I think you saved more than one, bud.
Yeah, well, men have great ability inside them to be a force for good or a force for evil. You gotta decide which one you want to be.
I couldn't have said it better. What was it like having missed 3 birthdays? And what was the adjustment when you came back home and they inevitably threw you a birthday party?
Ooh, man.
How did you feel?
You didn't get any hints here, did you?
No.
You're kicking over rocks now.
Oh, yeah, that's my job.
No, that's totally okay. No, I didn't have any birthday parties coming back, man. A couple months into being deployed, and my kid was, when I left, he was about 17, 18 months. And, I was freshly married, house, cars, dog named Shep, not really. But, had pretty much everything I wanted, was working really hard, had my own business, was doing pretty good for myself. And, duty called. So, 3 months into the deployment, I knew something was up. I wasn't hearing from home. I wasn't getting anything from home. Had some friends that were reaching out, and they were like, hey, you know, something's going on. We don't know what it is. They're just trying to watch out for me.
Yeah.
And then when my mom started reaching out and saying something's up, and I was like, okay. So inevitably, fast forward, almost the whole time I was in combat there, I knew I was coming home to a divorce. I was homeless when I got back.
Wow.
Bounced around on some couches and lost everything I owned. So started from scratch. My boy was almost 3. I was like, you know, I got to be a dad.
Veterans continue to serve.
For sure.
Whether people know it or not.
Yeah.
Whether they themselves know that they're continuing to serve.
It's just in your blood.
Yeah.
It really is. It's just in your blood. I mean, you just like, why would somebody want to be a cop? Why would somebody want to be, a border protection agent? Why would somebody want to be HSI?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know there's some, there's a small percentage that maybe have other motives, but the vast majority of these people serving the public, you've got to love it because they ain't paying you good. You know, you've got to have that, I don't know, natural instinct to protect people.
It's true. It's the sheepdog.
The sheepdog, yeah.
Sheepdog.
Or the campfire theory. You ever hear that?
Campfire theory, yeah.
Yes. Somebody's got to watch. Somebody's got to stand around while everybody's at the campfire. I felt like I didn't have anybody when I got back. I was like, man, even though there were people that were reaching out, my family and everything, they're all local here too. So, it wasn't like I was going to be living on the streets or anything. But, when I came back, I remember my mom, she was trying to handle what she could back here. And I had I hate even saying this, man, but this is just my story. And I know it happens to a lot of guys. So like I had a dumpster container parked in front of my house before my house was sold, before I got back. And she was throwing stuff away. I mean, like all kinds of stuff, like pictures of me when I was a baby, like, my class letterman jacket from high school, like just throwing everything away. So there was almost like she just hated me. And I had to forgive her a long time ago, but I was like, man, am I just a piece of trash? So when I came back, my mom had actually gone over there and my brother when all this was going on, and they were pulling what they could out. But they ended up getting like a carload of stuff. And when I first got back, I was back for like 3 days maybe. And my mom, she gave me like a key to like a 5x10. What a 5x10,
Oh, yeah.
It's like a closet.
Yeah.
That was everything that was left of my previous life, full furniture, all that stuff, But again, I almost felt silly even complaining, when there were so many. There was guys that we left there that were 25 years old and they never got any older. And so many families had to deal with that kind of stuff, and just they never came home again. So I was like, I'm here and I'm still alive. So that's really hard to, to complain and everything. But
What an interesting dynamic thought, because the ones that didn't come home, all of their stuff is kept in pristine almost as a memory, and you come home and everything is getting thrown away.
I had a really good experience where the 80th anniversary of Normandy, I actually got to go. And we got to help out a bunch of older veterans. A couple of them aren't even with us anymore. They just passed away. But when we were there, I had this one say, he says, the problem with you young folks, he said they sent you home right afterwards. He said, you guys never even had a chance to decompress.
Wow.
He says, they put us on a ship after we went through all this hellfire here and all the heinous things that we saw, which I would argue World War II was way more heinous than the things that we saw, because the human atrocities alone gives me chill bumps to even say it.
Right.
So they see all that. Then they jumped on a ship and it took them months to get home. Well, guess what they did for months? They smoked cigarettes. They drank. They talked through their trauma because they all saw it together. They had all their friends and all their battle buddies with them that went through all the same crap, and they were able to just kind of sort it out. So by the time they hit boots on the ground and got back, they were heroes, they were welcome back, and they had already kind of talked out a lot of that stuff. Us, they throw us on a plane, 18 hours later, you're back in the States. And you're supposed to go pick out your cereal. You walk around and, I remember seeing, what was that movie? Hurt Locker. Mm-hmm. That resonated with me, man. When I came back and I saw that, and I was like, he's standing there and he's just looking at all this cereal and he's like, man, like, I don't know what to pick, because now I have options and everything's peaceful.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, it's so overwhelming. So I think that part of us having to get through our trauma. And, I think we isolate when we get back because we didn't fully decompress. We never really decompressed. We didn't have that opportunity. Just came back. I went to work like a week later. I didn't have any money. I got wiped out by my ex. I was like, okay, I got to get back to work. It's time to get back into being part of society again. And, whether I was ready or not, I needed to have it. And I needed to be I actually had financial responsibilities before I got full custody of my son. Guess what? I had to pay child support. I had to rebuild everything. So I was like, my son needs me. And I remember I sat in with a mental health person, and I didn't get too many visits there. I'm an Adler guy, and I'm fine with that. It's not really a wrong or right. It's just we're all different. So I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to compartmentalize this. I've got to move on. I got other things to do. But I remember they said, we can get you help, and we'll have to send you to a home and all this other stuff where, like a mental health facility. And I was just like, no. And she's like, well, are you thinking about harming yourself? And I'm like, no. And even if it was rattling around in my head, I was like, I got my son. My son saved my life. I tell my son that. If you ask my son that, he would tell you, oh yeah, my dad says that. It wasn't until he was older he understood what I meant. He saved my life because I was like, I have to be here for you. I have to raise you, be there for you, and help you be a better man than I am. Because that's what we always hope for our kids, is for them to be better. So I got up, walked out, never went back to the VA for mental health again, ever. I was like, done, bye. I don't know if that was the right choice, but I know that being there for my son and handling my stuff the only way that I could, that ended up working out.
Thank you for taking me on this hike.
Thanks for bringing me up, man.
Definitely got to come by here more.
I never walk away from hikes, man.
Never walk away from hikes.
Never.
Speaking of walking, how about we take it back to the studio and let's get into some depth on some stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Wow. Nobody's ever that excited to see me.
Hey, bud. Yeah, man. Ooh, all right, Tom. What's up, man?
How you doing, man?
Doing good?
Yeah.
Man, I just
Still hurting from the hike?
Yeah, honestly, I was a little winded. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was a little winded. But then when I saw what the crew was doing, keeping up, I was like, wow.
There was wheezing involved.
They're definitely doing this is a lot harder for them than it is for me. Now I feel worse.
Yeah. Right.
Well, man, I'm just really excited that you're here. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for hanging out with us. Not even just right now, tonight, hanging out, but just taking me through your world. We were hiking through Kennesaw Mountain, and I really appreciate you doing that. All of this, really.
For sure.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. So I guess I'll just start it like I would any just conversation with somebody. So where are you from?
Originally, I'm actually from Indiana.
Indiana.
But I definitely was adopted by Georgia. I've been here for over 40 years, so.
I like that, adopted by Georgia.
Yeah, I've been right here in Woodstock for about 38 years. 38 years. Yeah.
So how long were you in Indiana? I'm not good at math.
So my dad was he was a pig farmer. I know it's this crazy thing. I love bacon. But he was a pig farmer, and then he was working a side job at a place called Marble Hill, which was a power plant. Mm-hmm. And it got shut down. I'm not going to age myself, but it's way back. It got shut down during the Carter administration. Economy was terrible. He needed a job opportunity, so uprooted the family and moved us to where there was more opportunity, and there was a lot of opportunity in Georgia. Really?
So do you have, how big is your family? How big? Brothers, sisters,
I have
cousins?
a brother. Yeah, I got a brother. I've got 2 kids. I've got a son and a daughter. And then my brother has 3 kids. We have twins in the family. So, that's awesome. A nephew, 2 nieces, and they have 2 kids. So there's great grandkids.
Just multiplying. Just out there. It's interesting.
What families do, right?
My sister has twins too, so it's crazy.
Yeah.
We actually have a lot of things in common. We've talked a lot offline. So.
Yeah, I would have had more, but God didn't want that for me. So he gave me exactly what I was supposed to have.
Yeah, I had one and I did a pretty good job with her. And now I'm kind of nervous to have another one. I'm not good at gambling. So
if it's what's supposed to happen, it'll happen for you.
Absolutely correct.
Because I had my son. And my son was 18 months old when I deployed. When I came back, he was almost 3. So that was really rough for him and rough for me too, to leave him. And I really my story about what happened to me where I tried to rebuild my family when I came back because I had lost it. I really wanted to have more kids, and I pushed trying to get the right person to have children with, never was able to. And I got really frustrated about that, but that wasn't what God wanted for me. And then all of a sudden I meet my soon to be wife now, and I get a bonus daughter. And
love that.
And I mean bonus by she's awesome, and I'm grateful for it. So God gave me exactly what I was supposed to have.
I'll take that. I think that's what bonus is.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what were you like growing up? Like, what did you, were you in sports? Were you in trouble all the time?
Gosh.
What'd you do?
I'm a Generation Xer, so if I could ride it or jump out of it and break it, that's what I did.
Got it.
Like if my mom was here and you asked her right now, she would be like, he broke everything. She probably prayed all the time. Like I was always jumping things, riding skateboards, you name it. Like I was a pretty wild kid. I would climb trees, fall out of them, get stitches. Like that's just kind of like, just to give you an example. So when I was 5 years old, we were still in Indiana. And if you've ever been on a farm, they had like a loading dock where you actually pull, up to like a trailer or a truck. And then you have your livestock goes up and you load them into the back of the truck. I'm 5 years old, and I guess somewhere I got it in my head that I was Superman. So there was a bunch of trash down there, and I just leaped off of it because I thought I could fly. And I ended up with a nail and a 2x4 stuck to my hand. That was the first time I think I ever went to the emergency room.
Well, for the record, you flew. I mean, very short.
Oh yeah, for like 1.2 seconds. So yeah.
Were you into sports? Did you play a bunch of sports at all?
Yeah. Soccer.
You're
track,
a big dude.
Football.
Yeah. Compared to me.
Thanks.
Because we're both Cav Scouts, and in our line of work.
And if you're not Cav, you can't say that online.
You probably can, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I was always the little dude. I would, like in my units, I was never the big guy. So my mouth got me in trouble a lot.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. It's all here and here, man.
It's working out for me now, though.
Yeah.
So growing up, you said you played a lot of sports, played a lot of football. What was your home life balance like? I mean, you, of course, broke bones and flew, but what was your family like?
Now you're getting deep. It was difficult. Total poverty. Definitely, I found out later on when I got older and, probably when I'm in my teens, when I was old enough to understand it, I knew that I didn't have a lot of clothes and stuff like that. And, sometimes I had to wear the same stuff, but I didn't realize that sometimes my mom actually went without eating. And, I knew I was loved, but I definitely was, I acted out a lot. I was not a good kid. Like, honestly, I was waiting to have like bad kids, like as some kind of messed up karma, but it didn't happen. I ended up with great kids. So, cause I wasn't a good kid.
Yeah. Like how? What happened?
I just broke everything. I acted up in school. I probably should have been medicated, but, my mom didn't want that for me, which I'm glad that she didn't. But yeah, I don't think I applied myself. I lacked direction. I mean, I say all this, and this is me, you're your worst enemy. Yeah. So I look at myself and I think, oh man, I wish I would have done this and done that. But I was a kid, and I think that I was exactly the way my mom says I was a wonderful kid. I know that I could have done better, but I also know that that's what I was made. That's who I was. It's what you're supposed to be. So were you like the jokester in school, or you just had no care? A bit of both. Yeah. Sometimes I was the jokester, and unfortunately, it would get me into trouble even when once I had established myself for making a joke every once in a while, I automatically was the guilty party. Yep. So the teacher, would have her back turned, and we were actually using chalkboard still then, and she would just stop the class, or he would stop the class, turn and look, and it was automatically me. So I got a lot of detention, a lot of ISS. I know the feeling. I was class clown. That's maybe it's a Cav Scout thing. Maybe it's just a personality thing. Everyone else is just that's another topic for another day. Yeah, for sure. So not really caring about school. We were just a fun person. So what led you? What made you go where you wanted to go and do what you wanted to do? What drove you
hang out with your friends or go jump off stuff or do things? What was like the main runner for you?
That's a great question. So like I got really lucky, you know, with my circle was always been pretty tight. Most of my friends that I have, I've been friends with 20 years, maybe more. So we were running together back then. We knew each other when we were young, and we kind of grew up together, and, you know, we party and raise hell and nothing, you know, terrible, but we were always jumping off of the trussels into the water or going out on a lake. I had a buddy's dad that had a boat, so we spent a lot of time out on Altoona Lake, at Lake Ackworth. I was really kind of, I don't want to say free falling, but I definitely didn't really have a purpose. You know, I was always a really hard worker. I got that, you know, my dad was a really hard worker, and my mom too, because you know, you're trying to, nothing's going to come for free. You know, like when you hear people complain about like, well, we didn't have this. Well, you know, you're going to have to go get it. It doesn't come without some elbow grease. So they worked really hard. I got that work ethic. So I always would work really hard, but I tended to kind of party, hang out with my buddies, do stupid stuff. It was like every weekend. It's like I was a frat boy without the college.
That's, most of them
Maybe
are.
not that bad.
Yeah.
That's really underselling myself. But so I didn't really, honestly, I don't feel like I found genuine purpose until I went into the military.
Yep.
And I was a late bloomer.
What do you mean by late bloomer?
23.
23.
I went in at 23, and I was the second oldest person. And
You had 5 years worth of messing stuff up just out in the free world?
Yeah.
Willy-nilly?
I wonder, I mean, obviously everything happens for a reason. I wonder if it was just like a maturity thing or whatever, but you know, I was supposed to be there when I went in. The reason I say that is because I think it was always there, my want to serve, because it's in my family. Like every able-bodied man and women served. I've got an aunt that retired from the Pentagon. I've got another aunt that was an MP. She was one of the first MPs for 3rd ID. This was back in like the 70s. My dad was Navy. My brother was Air Force. My son is Navy. So like there was always, I had uncles, you know, I had a great uncle that was in Normandy. He was actually on the beach, part of the UDT team, UDT. So I think it was always there, but I just was, screwing off too much before I figured it out.
So what were those 5 years like? You leave high school until you finally find where you're supposed to be. What was, I mean, there had to have been some pretty transformative years.
I could have done a lot more with my time.
Couldn't we have all?
But you're asking me a question I really don't know, that's great. I mean, like I never really thought about it that deeply. Like what the heck was I doing? And I was present, but I think, and I think we talked about this on this, like a man without a purpose is potentially dangerous.
Yeah.
And, you know, I definitely stayed out of trouble, but like there were definitely some times where I probably could have got into the trouble. I was definitely in some situations where I was walking a fine line, and I'm glad that I got away from that. And part of the reason me joining the military was, I remember when I made that decision, it was 2 reasons. One, it was to piss my dad off. He didn't want me to go in the Army, even though his dad was in the Army. He wanted me to go to the Navy or the Air Force. And of course, my brother went in the Air Force. So I was like, I'm going to go in the Army. But when I did it, I knew that I was also escaping. It wasn't like a cop-out, but it was like, I can go do this and serve my country. And I really genuinely, I didn't want to go for college. I didn't want to go for any of that stuff because everybody's got a reason to serve, and they're not necessarily wrong reasons. But I definitely, when I went to go serve, I was going to serve, which made it hard.
Yeah, no
Made
kidding.
it hard. I'll share the story. I got there, and, you know, like you do your thing and you run off the bus and all that stuff. And like, I wasn't even there for 24 hours when I got to, we were at 515 barracks in Fort Knox. And
Disney?
Yeah, the Disney
Disney barracks.
Yeah, I don't even know why they called it that, but yeah, Disney
It
barracks.
was not the happiest place on earth.
It was not a happy place
No.
at all. So, you know how like, they're trying to figure out who you are.
Right.
And they want to rattle you, which is all, you know, so first day in scout school, and they had a stairwell. If you saw Disney barracks, it was like 3 stories. So there was a stairwell. I'm in the 2nd story stairwell because they put us, I think, on the 2nd floor. Mm-hmm. So we're going up, taking everything up there. And I get caught between 2 drill sergeants. And I got my bags, so I didn't like
make way, so to speak, because I didn't even understand what that was. Mm-hmm. And I got dropped.
Oh, yeah.
Right then and there, man. Dropped in the hallway, upside down, inverted. Doing push-ups.
I laugh, and you're not supposed to laugh at these things, but I laugh because I think a lot of us have been there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's initiation.
I remember one of them standing over me, and I knocked out I was in pretty good shape. I knocked out like 60 or 70 push-ups inverted. And I remember one of the drill sergeants goes, oh, yeah, you like this, don't you? I said, I can do this all day, drill sergeant.
Oh, great, yeah.
Whew, big mistake. Big mistake.
Because that's exactly what you did.
They multiplied. Drill sergeants, they multiplied. 2 became 4, and then somehow a 5th and the 6th one showed, and they're like standing there. We got us a hero here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, it was rough. But I genuinely, and later they ask you why you're there, and I said, I'm here to serve. That was the reason I was there.
Yeah.
Was to serve.
They probably had a lot of people just at that time. What year was that when you were in basic?
98.
98,
Scout
yeah.
School, and I graduated in 99. I came in 98, but it was like December, and I graduated in like April of 99. So it rolled over a year because we went through the winter.
That was in a time period where a lot of people that were serving were legacies. I don't know what you would really call it, but people that come from military families.
Yeah. A lot of people, yeah.
So they probably, when they called you like a hero or a legend, they're like, they probably knew where you're coming from. Did you have to fill out the paperwork that stated why you were there? Like a letter to the drill sergeant kind of thing? Oh, God.
Yeah. And they made a lot of jokes about it, I get it. I do. Because like some people were there, we had a couple gangbangers that were there.
Oh, yeah.
Ended up like, ditching all that stuff and ended up being like outstanding soldiers, and it was like, that's what you're here for. You want to be a part of a gang? Join the military. It'll straighten you out, give you some discipline. I wish more people served, because I saw those guys, it changed their life. And I did have, when I was there, I did have the benefit of being, at 23, being the age that I was on a different level of maturity, I think. Mm-hmm. And it served me well there. And I didn't realize at the time, I thought it was cheesy to bring it up, but I ended up getting, what the Draper Army Leadership Award is. Mm-hmm. I ended up getting it when I was there. I didn't even understand what exactly that was, but I realized this because, so we ended up having, this is, tell my life story here, but during our cycle, one of the drill sergeants that we were originally his father passed away. So we got down to one drill sergeant, and then we had another one that was roving back and forth, and it fell on my shoulder. My drill sergeant was Drill Sergeant Rainey, a little short guy, awesome guy. He's probably only about 5 years older than me, but it kind of like, he pulled me in behind closed doors and was like, I'm going to need help. I'm going to level with you. I need, and the way he said it, of course, I was still terrified of the guy, even though he was about 5'4". He's like, I need your help. You're going to have to help me keep track of these guys, do all this kind of stuff until we figure out what's happened. Now, later on, we had Drill Sergeant Rivera came in, and he came in, it was probably like a month or two after that happened. So we were one drill sergeant, and Drill Sergeant Pinion would bounce back and forth between the first platoon and second platoon. But, I think the 23-year-old, maybe I was supposed to be just a little older, because when you got 17 and 18-year-olds, not to dog on them. It was awesome that they were there, but they were really young. They were fresh.
Right.
I had a little bit of life experience under my belt.
Yeah. So why did you choose the job you chose?
Because I saw the video.
You saw the video. The high-speed dudes jumping out of helicopters into moving water.
Yeah, man. Riding on like motorcycles and four-wheelers and all that crap we never did. Except for the helicopters. Did the helicopter stuff.
Yeah. You just like jumping out of stuff.
Yeah. I'm kidding. I was a kid, man. Yeah. I mean, like, that's what I did. I jump off stuff. I thought I was Superman. But no, I when they started telling me about what it was, and when about halfway through Scout school, I knew, I was like, I had the bug. Mm-hmm. You know, with the bug. I had the bug so bad. I was like, this is it, man. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
Like, I was pretty decent at soldiering, and I was like, I want to keep doing this. So the excitement got me, and I wanted to keep going. I wanted to take it a step further, and I didn't get the opportunity because of a circumstance. So I got back, got to my unit. Great unit, Cav unit, solid guys all around. I mean, some of the greatest guys I ever knew. great leadership, everything. And everybody wanted to be in that cav unit because they were so high speed. So I ended up meeting a couple guys that were Roswell PD, and they were all with the Special Forces. They were with the Reserve Guard, the 23rd, I think it's called, in Alabama. There was a Special Forces unit there.
Yeah.
I got it in my head. That's what I wanted to do. And I went through selection at 3rd ID, took my PT test, everything, took my exam, was going to transfer. Remember I had talked to, his name was Staff Sergeant Langford or something, was going to transfer. This was 2 months before September 11th. Well, that changed everything for everybody. So when September 11th happened, my unit had made me part of the QRF. So they had a quick reactionary force for, obviously I didn't know that was going to happen, but if something happened, anything, hurricane, whatever, they had a QRF. So you actually had a pager, and they would page you, and then you had to report to the unit in like a certain number of hours just for an emergency purposes. Well, we never got the page because, all the phone lines were so tied up after September 11th, but I went on operations for Operation Noble Eagle. So first time I ever went on like active duty operations, so to speak. So we did counterterrorism, and when I went down there, I got in my unit about maybe 3 or 4 hours after the second plane hit, and didn't come off orders till February the next year.
Phew.
Yeah.
So what'd you do?
Sensitive items, moving stuff around, securing things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't think about that kind of thing until something like that happens. And then you're like, well, wait a second. We have all this sensitive item stuff that's spread out. And I mean, really sensitive items. You're like, this stuff needs to be consolidated somewhere where it can be better protected than, say, an armory or,
right.
You got 2 personnel in an armory.
Right.
And then you have really sensitive weapons. I'm not just talking about like firearms, but it became a thing. So we did a lot of that, a lot of convoy escort, secure items. So, yeah.
People don't think about the number of things that need to be locked down when you're in such unfamiliar territory, because everyone was so scared during that time period.
Absolutely.
That we went on like just an all out where I don't know how to put it. It's so hard to describe, but we didn't know what to secure, how to secure it, where to put it, why it needed to be secure, what's the next steps. What was it like being in such an unknown environment?
It was, that morning for everybody was just nuts. And I remember, so I always had I had a bag ready, and I was driving a 1974 International Scout that I still have, and threw the bag in there, jumped in my uniform, and I remember driving right here down 92, right down this road, and I had my hazards on, and I distinctly remember, I'm not law enforcement, but I was in my uniform, and you could see me in the uniform, and like people literally got out of the way.
No way.
And that was, pretty crazy. At that moment when you realize like this is really serious, like we thought, at that moment it was like, is this the end of it? Is there more to come? Like you really didn't know. But when I got down to the unit, so they Article 10'd us so that we could carry ammunition live. And I never thought that would, I was like, I'm going to end up maybe in a foreign country or something.
Right.
But when they sent us to Walmart to get our ammo. That's a true story.
Shout out to Walmart.
Shout out Walmart.
They also had goldfish at the time. And
go get some 9mm ammo from the Walmart. But it was pretty crazy to think like, wow, this is happening here. But there's a lesson to be learned in that. All conspiracy theories and all that stuff aside, America needs, not to be preachy, but that was a different time. A lot of American flags.
Yeah.
A lot of people supportive. Even if you didn't agree with the politics of it or anything, you knew that this was your country and it was time to nut up or shut up. And people were extremely supportive everywhere we went. And that was, it was nice to see,
So where was your first move when you were mobilized? Where did you first go and how quickly?
So I actually stayed in a National Guard armory in a closet, like literally in a closet with Mark the guy that I told you about, Mark Allen.
Well, that's just solid location. We all want a little bit of privacy. I would have chosen that too.
Mark liked to sleep naked, man. It was a little awkward.
Mark.
Yeah, he was quite a character. But yeah, we stayed down there and we mobilized wherever they wanted. We went back and forth to Benning a lot. Benning seemed to be a consolidation point, when we were driving all around. And, there was no Homeland Security wasn't a thing yet. You had the governor's task force. We were getting intel at the time directly from the FBI, reports every day, because we didn't know. We didn't know what was happening. I mean, it's like you have all these reports and you're always sitting on data. Heck, the guy that's a gas station over could have been a terrorist and you didn't know. It's not. Then you started getting all this stuff and you're like, are you serious? It's pretty tense.
Right.
If, anybody that was around during that time, it was tense. But, that was why I joined. I was like, okay, my country needs me for whatever I got to do. And that's what they need me for.
Yeah, and when it comes to a lot of intelligence in the beginning of something so catastrophic, there's no real filter yet.
No.
There's no real understanding, of what's real, what's just hearsay, what's thrown around, what actually has already occurred. So I can imagine it was an interesting time period.
Oh yeah.
To be the filter.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you would get, like whatever your marching orders were, we would get like, oh, we're going to go pick this thing up at this place and then we're going to take it over to Benning so it can be secured. And, they'd be like, you're authorized to use deadly force. Like if anybody breaks into your convoy, and we would have like GSP with us too. And they would get into the convoy and be like, seriously, like what the hell are we carrying, But, I knew what I was carrying, but, we understood the importance of all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like your intelligence, you don't know exactly what, it's almost intelligence, you can have like a whole bunch of it, but it has to be interpreted correctly and categorized properly. Right. Otherwise you're just a train wreck and you're out there, you don't know what to do. We always have that joke about military intelligence. It's like, you got to filter that. No dig to anybody military intelligence.
Yeah, no.
Everybody's job is important in the military, and one person can't do their job without somebody else's job. So I have such respect for everybody in the military. But you'd get military intelligence, and you were like, okay, what are we supposed to do with this?
They're like, that's not our job. Here you go.
Yeah, you interpret this.
Yeah.
So you make an op order out of it. We've given you what we think that you need, which sometimes was conflicting, which happened in Iraq all the time. We got conflicting data.
Speaking of that, where and when was your first deployment?
So we spun up in 2004, and went through NTC like everybody does, and then ended up going to Iraq. So I went on advanced party. I went about a month and a half, 2 months early, and was in Kuwait, and we were hand receipting all of our gear, like all of our weapons and Humvees and all that stuff, which is a funny story. So, and this is such a Cav story. You'll appreciate this. So I cannot say enough for whatever they're doing up at North Georgia Military College. Every officer they turned out. I don't know if they're still doing it, but back then they were on point. Like we had our captain, our XO, 2 or 3 of our lieutenants all came from there. It's probably because we're in Georgia,
right?
But man, they were just great. They were great officers. But I distinctly remember Captain Olderman at the time. He ended up getting out as a major, but he was our commanding officer when all this came down. And we were on the range, and we were doing some live fire exercises. And some of I think it was like General Nesbitt and Commissioner King, our commissioner now, was actually the brigade combat team's commanding officer. So we're out there, and they were notorious for coming out and like kind of getting with the enlisted men and like, having an MRE with us, asking us what we needed, if we were cool with everything. So they're all sitting out there. And at the time, we didn't know, we knew we were going to get deployed, but they had taken all of the tanks because we were originally hunter killer, Bradleys and tanks. They took them all. We're like, so, and this was just a conversation between like leadership, including our captain.
Right.
And we're just all sitting there watching it. And it's the most Cav thing I ever heard. My commanding officer, he looks at either Nesbitt and he goes, sir, so what are we going to get when we go over? I know we're going to go. So what are we going to get? And, we're going to get like Humvees, 113s, whatever. And it was I think it was Nesbitt. He's kind of like, it was like, wow, I'm not really sure what they're going to give you yet. You know, it depends on what the mission dictates, you know, if you're going to be urban, blah, 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 but we'll let you know. And he goes, it's okay, sir. If you give us horses, we'll make it happen. I just remember being like, that's the coolest, most Cav thing that I've ever heard. That's a true story. He said that. And I was like, that's a good captain right there.
I think that's a Cav mentality. We'll make it happen. Mentality.
Yeah.
Not even the horse thing, but like, we'll make it happen. Yeah. Whatever it is. Which to be honest, in all the, you know, different branches of the Army and different job and MOSs, they have a lot of that mentality when it comes to combat too, but I've never seen it more prevalent than in cavalry.
Yeah, they're nuts. And obviously we're biased.
That's true.
And you're supposed to be that way.
I guess.
You know, like you're a Marine, man, be proud to be a Marine,
right.
You know, and they train that, you know, but Cavs that way too. Everybody's that way. I think we come off sometimes as pretty cocky, and that kind of rubs people the wrong way.
They'll get over it.
Yeah. Well, it's too bad. You know, there's a reason why they say call in the cavalry.
That's true.
It's not call in the...
You should have had us there to begin with. You wouldn't have this problem.
You wouldn't even have had this problem.
Yeah.
Just call us in there, we'll play some music when we're on the way, show up with some stupid hats on, and you know, put foot to butt.
Don't talk about the hat. All right, calm it down.
Yeah.
So when did you go?
Oh, I was there from, I got there, like I said, a couple months early. So I think I was there in March. I think it was either late February or early March. We went through Shannon Airport in Ireland first, and then went to Kuwait and was there getting all the stuff. And then we, so some of our, it's a crazy story. So some of our elements went up Route Tampa. Our first duty station was going to be FOB Michael, which was a forward operating base in Mahmudiya, Yusufia, Ludufia. It's in the Sunni Triangle, like right in the middle of a civil war. So it was a lot of action happening. It was right after Fallujah. So when the Battle of Fallujah went down, I mean, which was arguably one of the biggest battles, everything got kind of fanned out, and there's a town in between Alama Fayyad, and then the Alama Fayyad Highway ran between, it was south of Fallujah all the way down to where we were. So what happened, a lot of the terror cells that survived and the militias, they all kind of fanned out, and they followed the Tigris and the Euphrates down to the Sunni Triangle. And that's where we went. So lucky us. So that's where we ended up. So we did about 7 months there, doing nothing but HVT, kicking indoors. I mean, the most awesome job that you could do, and I didn't realize it at the time. I was like, this is the coolest job I ever could have done.
You would take it for granted sometimes.
I did.
Just not even what it is that you're doing, but the memories of it.
Absolutely. You know,
because you look back on the guys that you were there with. What were they like?
Best guys I ever knew.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Did y'all have
best guys I ever knew.
Specific jobs and roles and assignments that just kind of made you the dream team?
Everybody, yeah. I mean, like tip of the spear, man. I mean, we literally, everybody fell in, and like we were really lucky. We had so much like wealth of knowledge. You know, we had airborne guys that used to be on the Lurch for Georgia. I mean, like it just couldn't have been better. We had one guy that used to be a SWAT trainer, you know, so when we got, you know, it wasn't going back to the Cav thing. You know, like when we did mount training before we went to Camp Blanding, did our mount training, live fire exercises, where we were going to go in and kicking indoors and looking for bad guys. It's a totally different, we didn't train for that originally. You know, you went through scout school.
Right. Yep.
What did they train you on? Korean.
Different stuff.
Different, you know, like armor, you know, being able to identify armor and, you know, all that stuff, engage in the armor.
Yep.
That's not what we did. You know, we ended up doing something totally different. And, you know, we had a couple months to prepare for it, but they did fantastic. When we went through NTC, you know, all the guys knocked it out, and they run those drills over and over again. Mistakes that happen there saves lives over there. So we got really, really fortunate. And I couldn't have been, I probably wouldn't have been sitting here if I wasn't with the guys that I was with, because they were pretty damn proficient at their job.
How much of what you actually accomplished and or experienced in country, how much of that do you think went into the curriculum of training the next people to come behind you?
Oh, heavily.
Yeah?
Heavily, yeah. Well, let me recant that back. Never underestimate your enemy. Because as soon as you start doing that, you'll start having problems. We had every month, we would make SOP modifications, our standard operating procedure. We would try something different because they were trying something different. And they were always figure out a way around things, you know? So I would argue that, you know, we came in, we did our right seat rides with 10th Mount. They were, you know, awesome guys, super professional.
I was like 10th.
Were you really?
No, I wouldn't. I always liked them.
Oh yeah,
You're right. They're very professional,
Awesome
very straight ahead.
You know, came in and, would never trash talk any units. I just wouldn't say anything, but 10th Mount was on point. Came in, right seat of ride, took over their AO, which is their area of operation. And, we came out, they saw that we were a little bit different. We were going more into the houses, because there was a pivot shift of what, you were going from the full on forces and getting into the country and eradication of the elements that were left of the Army. And then we were transitioning to mount operations, which is like SWAT every day. I mean, every day. My platoon specifically, we wanted night. So we moved at night all the time. We were running 80, 90 mile an hour and up armored Humvees, all just blackout. And got pretty good at that skill set. But, again, and I can give you an example. So like at first you get there and they were using radio controlled stuff. Well, Warlock systems came along. We scrambled that.
Jammers.
So we're good to go.
Right.
Even if they did go off, they missed. They were always like glancing blows. Then they were like, okay, well, we'll do this the old fashioned way. We'll analog it. So they took spools of wire.
Yep.
Taped it right to the back of the primer, and they would go out with a 9-volt battery. They'd spool out the wire a half mile away and sit out there and wait with a 9-volt battery. Now, that wasn't a super accurate either, but there was no way we could, well, what are you going to do? They would get lucky. It was the heat that was generated would shoot it off. So like we figured that out, started busting up all the guys that were doing that. Then they moved to pressure plates and shape charges, started getting really sophisticated. That's pretty hard. There's no way you can you run it over.
Right.
It's buried.
That was before mine rollers too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We didn't have any of that yet. It was only later they came out with like a sonar and all that stuff. They were rolling through clearing routes. So we had a couple routes. We had, everybody talks about Route Irish. Well, yeah, but we had like Peggy and Sue, Route Peggy and Route Sue. Oh my gosh, man. All the time. Observation points. Snipers posted on the road all the time. We're trying to bust up their operations. We'd sit in houses for 3 days and not move and sit in there and wait with a whole bunch of like designated marksmen. We'd all sit in there, have it mined out all the way around, with like claymores, sit there and wait.
Is that when you got really good at spades? That's how I got good at spades.
I wish I would have had more time. I got pretty good at spades with some of my buddies, but we didn't really play a lot of spades.
So how many deployments have you done?
We did 2 back to back. So like I had a little over a year in country. So we literally completed one mission, then got sent up north to do a whole nother mission. We're pretty short then, it wasn't like you're going to do 6 or 9 months and head back. Like, nah, it was like a year and 3 or 4 months total. So it's a pretty long time, really long time when it comes to like trying to maintain a family when you're gone.
That's where I was going to ask next. So
yeah.
What was back? You say before we go back, what was back there?
What was back where?
Home, waiting on you.
Well, I was married. In the time after September 11th, I came off my orders in February. I ended up meeting my wife, my first wife, and that was my son's mom. And we got married. It was kind of whirlwind, and part of that, I feel like everybody wants to say their ex is crazy. Not that sometimes they're not, but everybody wants to say that. In all honesty, I made some poor choices too. I should have probably spent a little bit more time. And, we got pregnant, and my dad and mom raised me to never, ever, ever abandon your kid. So I wasn't going anywhere, even though maybe she wasn't the right person for me. I guess is the best way I can say that. I don't think she was ready for a relationship, and certainly not. She actually came from a military family too. So I thought, maybe like her brother was in the military, and her dad too. So I thought, she's good. She knew I was in the military. I don't think she was quite prepared. And also it must've been really difficult. I'm sole provider, kind of handled everything, had a business. I'm activated. I'm getting deployed. You're going to be by yourself, with an 18-month-old kid. So terrible twos come in, which I wasn't here for.
Yeah. So
it must have been really difficult for her. I'm not going to make excuses for her, but when I was gone, that was the moment that I left. I think we talked about this a month or two after I was deployed. I knew it was over. I mean, I just knew. I stopped getting calls. I stopped getting letters. I didn't even know what my son looked like until I came back. So there was that was a really hard time. That was harder than the deployment. I think anybody that says, when you go to combat and you see, your friends, you see your battles get killed. Nobody that goes to combat, you cannot say that you were not prepared or you thought that wasn't going to happen. You're in a combat MOS, it's going to happen. And you don't even have to be a combat MOS. And that still is going to happen. People are going to, get hurt. So you prepare yourself for what you think is going to be the worst part. But what the worst part ends up being, or at least throws onto it, is when you have problems back home. Nothing ruins a good soldier faster. So when you have problems back home, that's when you really start hitting. You start finding out who you are.
How did you, when you felt the shift of something being different back home, how did that affect you and your duties?
Ooh,
maybe not even your duties, but your relationships with the people you were serving with in that environment.
Over half the guys that I was there with, even our medic, I remember our medic, and obviously we love our medics, but he was going through the exact same thing. Exactly the same thing. So there was like a bunch of us going through the same thing. So I think it actually made us tighter. That's your family when you're there.
Right.
Your priority is to get the mission done and to get everybody home. And that's it. So I was very angry, but I was lucky. I was able to take it out on the enemy. And that was perfect. If I had been in another situation, if I had been back here going through that, maybe I wouldn't have reacted so good. But there, perfect place to be angry. Because think about it. I got to go breach this door. I got to go find this guy that just blew up some people. Maybe blew up some 82nd Airborne guys or some 10th Mount guys or one of our other units or whatever. It's like, I'm pissed. I'm mad about everything that's going on back home. I'm kicking this door clean off the hinges and I'm coming in to get you. So it served me well, but inside I was falling apart.
So when something happens like that, you can throw yourself into the work, right?
Absolutely.
Even if it's not combat or even military, you throw yourself into what you know and what you can control. When you weren't on mission, when you weren't out on, outside the wire, when you weren't doing those things, were you just running through your brain trying to figure out how to fix it, or were you accepting it and figuring out what you were going to come back home to?
Man, I'm going to be honest. I actually was praying that I didn't come home. Obviously now I know that there's a reason why that didn't happen, but I definitely was praying that I would not come home. Cause I knew how difficult it was going to be when I got back. And I just thought, till Valhalla, man, I'll go out in a blaze of glory, and I know that's just crazy thing to think, but that's literally what I was thinking. I was like, I'm probably gonna just die here. But it didn't happen. I didn't have a lot of off time though. We maybe 3 hours. It just so happened, and this is Army and their infinite wisdom. Obviously, we always needed to be alert, but so on Fob Michael, because it was a forward operating base, all fire missions came from there.
Yeah.
Our tent was about 200 feet away from the Paladins. And I'm going to tell you, you remember,
That's loud.
They would literally have a sign up that says, do not pass this line.
Yeah.
You will get a concussion if you go past this line. And they would fire mission all night. So I didn't really sleep a whole lot. And I volunteered a lot. The platoon that I was with, Lieutenant Daly at the time, who I think he just retired. He was a lieutenant colonel. Ended up, I think he went down to Ranger Bat and ended up was commanding 5th Bat there for a while. He was a great guy. Absolutely insane guy, but totally Cav all the way. Mm-hmm. All of our officers were just wound up. We call him the Tasmanian Devil. He'd be like, nice. I would sometimes go into the talk and everything. Mm-hmm. And whatever mission they were putting out, we would just volunteer for it. We would always volunteer. And we also QRF'd. So even if we were back and we were resting, it's probably good we weren't very idle. We would get a call for QRF if somebody was in a firefight, right. Or, we had to go out and secure an AO so that they could, fly in a medevac, something like that. Because typically if you were under fire, you were still, under fire, you had to secure before they would bring in a Black Hawk. Mm-hmm. So we were always doing something. So I didn't have any time to think.
So there was a piece of you that was like, I got to go back now. But then there's also a piece of you that's like, good, something to keep my mind busy.
My mind busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So your mind stayed busy, had a lot going on. What did you come home to?
So before I left, had a house, cars, successful business. I mean, I for where I was at the time when I deployed, I think I was about 28, 29. I came back, I was 31. And everything that I had worked for was gone. Came back homeless. I remember us talking, and I realized that when I was driving up here, the storage that I told you about, it's the one right down here.
Yeah.
That's the storage that my mom had retrieved all that stuff. It was a 5x10, and I had a whole house full of stuff. You know, like, and I know it's just stuff, but you know, like somebody told me once, it resonated with me and explains it perfect. So whenever you deploy, you leave, and whatever you are dealing with, that's your tunnel vision. That's your snapshot.
Right.
You want to come back to that. You expect to come back to that, but that's not how it works. So for me, I go downrange, do my thing. I want to come back exactly the way I left it. Well, everybody went on without you. It's like being on a deserted island. So when you come back, everybody's lived their life for a year or year and a half or 6 months, 9 months, whatever your deployment is. You have to pick back up. And sometimes when you come back, what you left is not there anymore because life moved on. And that's how I felt. I came back and I was like, man, what happened to that life that I had? And there was several years there where I was like, man, what the hell happened here? Like, I couldn't even make sense of it. There was definitely almost like a internal anger, a resentment, you know, like, you know, I thought I was going off to do something noble, which I still do. I was part of something bigger. But when I came back, I was like, what a, SHIT show. I stood right there in that storage with that key my mom gave me and opened it up, and there was like a bubble TV. She took all the good furniture, man. But like a bubble TV and like a old couch, and that was it. And I'm like, that's what I got? And no place to live? Like no money in my bank? Got wiped out? What do you do?
What did you do?
Started over again. I say it easy now. It wasn't easy. You know, my dad was pretty hard on me when I was growing up, and I realize now if he hadn't been hard on me, might have been different.
No kidding.
But I had a son, and I really focused on that. My son saved my life. The fact that I had my son. So when I did make it back, and God didn't give me my wish, was so I could be a dad to my boy. So I focused on that. And spent a lot of time, just trying to be a good dad, working hard, slowly getting it back. When you lose everything you have and you lose your house, and it's going to be a long road to get your credit back, to get everything back on track to where you can start rebuilding everything. It took me like 8 or 9 years. I didn't file bankruptcy. I probably should have, but I was like, no, I'm going to repay my debts. It's going to take me forever, but repaid all my debts, got my credit straightened out. Got a loan from Veterans United. And that's actually the house I live in right now. Wow. And they really, I was self-employed, so it's a little hard it's not an easy thing. Yeah. So, but they actually came through for me, and that was who financed my house for the first 3 years.
Did you, if I remember right, you say you lived alone for a while?
I did.
I know from experience from doing that, and we talked about this.
Yeah.
That's a tough road.
Isolation, man. It's definitely, when you're in those kind of struggles, isolation is your enemy. So, and I remember, and it's weird. You're not alone. You're like never alone. Like you think you're alone. Right. And then you just start attacking yourself. But I remember people around you know it. They knew, people knew what was, even people who didn't know me. I remember, so I got this house. It was a 221 Morris Lane. And it was the first place that I got. It took me about a month or two to get enough money in to where then I could get a place again. And I didn't have any furniture. I had boxes, some empty boxes. And I had my TA-50 still. I hadn't turned it back in yet. Mm-hmm. So I had all my TA-50 sitting in the hallway, and I get a knock at the door. So I've got visitation of my son. So I'm getting my son. And I realized I already knew I was getting divorced because she had already told me, but I hadn't got served yet. Yeah. Because you can't have civil action. It was a sheriff. I opened up the door and a Cherokee County sheriff was sitting there. And he just looked in the hall and he looked at my TA-50 and he looked back at me and he goes, man, I'm sorry, brother. I mean, he was serving me papers, man, for divorce. And it's like, I didn't have to say anything to him. He knew. It's like he knew.
Yeah.
It's like you got this empty house with nothing on the walls.
Yeah. Picture's worth 1,000 words. Right?
Yeah. And I
didn't need a detective to know
I was
that.
in civilian clothes, but my TA-50 was in the hallway and he was just like, this guy probably just got back and now he's going through divorce. So it was like that empathy, instantly went out. So like, even then when I thought I was alone, I wasn't, there were, he knew,
right.
Probably would have talked to me. Cherokee County, they have a great CRT program here that I've been fortunate enough to work with where they reach out to veterans. I'm sure that was probably available then too. I just didn't know it. I didn't reach out for help.
We talk about a lot of times not wanting to be a burden.
Yeah.
How much of that do you think was at play? Were you internalizing a lot of it, or do you think that you were just afraid to reach out to somebody because they just had no idea, or you legitimately didn't want to talk about some things?
I legitimately didn't want to. So I did open up. And like, me and my mom have always been pretty close. So I had opened up to my mom and she was extremely supportive. And I thought that it would be, and she was she just retired, she had like 40 years in the medical field. So she's seen some stuff, God bless our medical professionals because they see you at your worst when they're in the hospital.
Yeah.
So I figured that it would be okay, that I could share some trauma with her. And I did. I shared a story and it was a true story. And I didn't even finish the story and she was crying. And like, you don't ever want to make your mom cry. And it broke my heart to see that. And I decided, I was like, okay, I'm not going to share some of this heinous stuff. I'm just going to, and almost anybody that deployed, you're going to see like some bad stuff, and it was just like, I'm not going to burden that. It's just like people always say like, yeah, my grandfather, he served in Vietnam or he served in World War II and he never talks about it. And it's like, well, that's because he doesn't want to bother you with it. That's stuff that why do two people need to hurt over that?
Yeah.
I just keep that to myself because it's stuff that I think it's not like veterans set out to say, well, I'm going to shoulder this burden for you, but that's how it ends up. It's like, I still don't want to share some of that stuff. Like my son doesn't need to know some of that stuff. People don't need to know that stuff.
Right.
If I told my wife some of the stuff, she'd probably get pretty upset, especially the graphic type stuff that you see. So you just gotta shoulder that. Now, I mean, and we talked about, the VA, and I'm not dogging anybody. I know some great people working at the VA, but it was a little lacking when I got back because we were only about a year and a half, 2 years into the war.
Yeah, they're probably swamped.
And they were swamped.
Yeah.
They were literally swamped. And they, trying to get an appointment each 6 months out, a year out, and when you feel like maybe you got to talk to somebody or something, it just wasn't there. So I didn't Freud it, I Adlered it. And I just like hemmed it up and kept pushing through. Now I drank a little more than I should have. But I had to work through it, I guess, on my own.
So living alone, getting served, you also got to clean up your TA-50, which is a task in itself. All of these things, not wanting to be a burden, having gone through the things that you've gone through, what kind of advice would you give someone that had experienced something similar to that now? What how would you big brother somebody through that? Because we made all the worst decisions.
Yeah.
And what do you say?
It's always easier said than done, but my advice would be don't spend too much time dragging weights around from your past because it'll keep you from going forward to your future. Whatever your goals are, you're not going to complete those goals if you keep worrying about stuff there was nothing that I could do to change what happened.
All right.
And it took me a little while to figure out how to start moving forward and stop looking in the past. And even, forgiving my ex, and like, be like, hey, I don't blame you anymore. Like I can't keep blaming. If you blame, the next thing you know, you're a victim. And victim mentality, you're not going to find any success in life if you're a victim and you blame everything on everybody. So I had to get past that and learn. That would be my advice. Don't spend too much time dragging your past around. Just learn from it and move on. Easier said than done.
Right.
But that would be the advice.
So what was your moving on moment?
Ooh. Man, how deep are we going to get here, man?
Deep as you want to go.
So I had kind of fell into a really good pattern. I didn't want to take any risks because I had my son. And I got full custody of my son. It took me a little while, but I finally got full custody of him and really gratefully graduated from River Ridge right here in Woodstock. I had focused so much on him that I had kind of, I don't want to say forgotten about myself, but like, this was, got to raise a strong man. Because strong man is powerful, especially when they're positive. So I spent all that time on him, but when he left and he went into the military, I was like, and this is before I met, my wife and my bonus daughter. I hadn't even met them yet. I was alone. I had just got out of a really bad relationship that was like physically abusive. Crazy story. And I was like, what the hell do I do now? Like I almost felt lost. I ended up quitting my job. I was working with another company. I ended up starting my own business. This all happened in like the course of like 6 months. Started another business, and I actually, so I was out locally by myself, trying not to isolate, and bumped into a guy who was a scout sniper, Marine Corps guy, awesome guy, Marsoc. And he's a local here. His name's Glenn Wells, good friend. And bumped into him out at like Mad Life or something. We were listening to some music, and I saw he had a Recon shirt on. And I was like, hey, Recon. And I ended up talking to that guy, and he's just an awesome guy. He's larger than life kind of personality. So he's like, hey man, we're doing this Shepherd's Men thing. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. But he's like, yeah, it's like traumatic brain injury. He's so enthusiastic about it. I'm like, I had a traumatic brain injury. So yeah, like that sounds cool. Like, he's like, yeah, we get together, we raise money, sports community. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll be there. It was like the next day. And they were doing it at Reformation. So I was like, yeah, I'll be there. So I show up. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. I show up over there and meet a bunch of the guys. Everybody's super cool. And I won't say his name, but another scout showed up. And it ended up becoming a really good friend of mine. And he was so uncomfortable being in public that he was crying. And he was trying to go through the Shepherd's Men Share program. And the founder, Travis, came up to me and said, hey, you're a scout, right? And I was like, yeah. He says, do you mind going and talking to this guy? He's having a really hard time. He's in the program, doesn't feel comfortable here. And I had this like strange, like just like a light came on, and I'm like, oh my God, there's other guys just like me out here that need help. I had already kind of like, I felt like I'd already worked through my problems and got past it, but I was like, there's like guys just like me. Like, I'm not alone. So I went over and talked to the guy. We ended up becoming friends. And then, Shepherd's Men, they do all kinds of, I don't know how familiar you are. You need to get him on as a guest. They do the craziest stuff. They're like, yeah, man, we're going to walk from let's walk from New York to Atlanta. Like just all kinds of like physically challenging things to raise awareness. So they give all that funding to the SHARE program, the SHARE initiative, which is actually when Mark, my buddy, came back, he was down there at the Shepherd Center, and they were, he had massive brain trauma, and some of the payment, actually, the money they were raising before I ever knew who they were was going to help one of my friends that got shot in the head. Wow. So ended up doing a bunch of stuff with them. And then I got more and more involved, in those kinds of things. Got involved with a group called MilVet. Tim Young founded that and shared a vision that he wanted a place for vets to get together just locally, have a beer together, talk. And in that time and all this time, I realized that we had touched on the Vietnam veteran and how they came home, and they had to go to an isolated place, right? Which was just flat out crummy, and they deserved better than that. The difference, the GWOT guys, we can be out in public. I realized that this is the most therapeutic thing I can do is sit around with these other guys. We cook, we go on road marches together, stuff like that, and just talk about the things that are, you get to unload. So some of that stuff, I got my Freud moment. I got to finally start talking, and these guys all have the same stories. And like, it didn't matter where they were or what they did in the military. You could still relate to it. Like everybody could relate to what you've been through. And it's we just met on Monday this week. So
do you find more joy in the camaraderie or the idea of the leadership that you're providing some of those younger guys?
The camaraderie. Leadership's not about a rank.
Right.
I mean, everybody has capacity inside them to be a leader. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes people are being leaders and they don't even realize it.
Yeah.
So I definitely enjoy the camaraderie, and given, Cherokee County, being the Veterans Committee chair, gave me the opportunity, even though I was already doing that, gave me the opportunity to help veterans. That's priceless, because I've been there. I know what that's like. I know how you feel. It's not like just a healthcare professional coming in, and even though they have the best intentions, but like somebody who's never seen combat, and not that you're not better or worse. It's just that you're unique to the situation. When you're talking to another combat guy, you're like, hey man, I remember what that was like. Hey, do you remember this place? Or, you can make some jokes about that kind of stuff. Just like I can make jokes to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you brought up Disney barracks, man. That's unique to us.
That's random. We brought up agony, misery, and heartbreak the other day.
You did. Yeah. That was a terrible, man.
The worst.
22-mile road march, man. And those hills, man, I went and looked back at pictures, and that was like...
They don't do it justice.
I remember running, like, as a platoon guide, I remember running alongside guys.
Oh, yeah.
That were, like, sideways.
Oh, yeah.
Falling over, and you're just like, you got this, man. Don't let them see you give up. You're trying to motivate them to keep going. And we had this guy, and I don't know whatever happened to him, but his name was Shores. So Shores, when he came in, he was a little overweight. Dude dropped 58 pounds. And like, that guy had the hugest heart. Like, he just never quit. He wasn't the most physically fit, but he just would never stop.
Rudy.
And that's what it is.
Rudy.
Yeah, man. He was that guy. Yeah. And I always wish that wherever he went, that he was successful at whatever he did. I figured that heart that he had, he literally, when he got pinned, you get pinned after you finish that last road march. Mm-hmm. He passed out, like literally fell out. But I was like, that guy kept it up and
He left it on the field
until left it all out. It's like so much respect for that. More respect than the guy that was just like PT stud,
I got one more for you. So, do you think you became who you are today because you didn't have the access to what you're working on today? And do you think you would have been different had you gotten out and walked into what you're doing for these guys? Do you think it would have been different? It would have changed you? Do you think it would have helped you better? Or
I think everything happens the way that it's supposed to. I know that's not exactly the answer, right, but I think everything happens the way that it was supposed to be. We talk often about, like, oh man, if I could go back with all the knowledge that I have and everything. But the thing is you're the person that you are because of all the things that you went through. And you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Now, you might want to be somewhere else when you think of yourself a year from now or 2 years from now or 3 years from now, but you're exactly where you're supposed to be, and you have to decide what you're willing to do to go to where you want to go. I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I don't even know. I don't know where I want to be in a year or 2 years. But if God lays me at feet, I'm going to do it.
I love that. Just ride the wave, man.
Yeah, that's all I can do. All right, Lebowski.
Oh, that rug really pulled the room together, man.
Yeah.
Hey, so I could talk to you for hours. I have 1,000 questions we didn't hit on, but that's just, some of it's stuff we got to just talk offline about too, of course. But in wrapping up, and to just thank you. Thank you so much for coming here and opening up and just being who you are. Wow, we wanted to give you something here, and this is compliments of not only Black Rifle Coffee Company,
okay,
but LJ and the crew here at Woodstock Black Rifle. Man, I just can't thank them enough, and we wanted to all give this to you, man. So
yeah, thank them so much for hosting.
Thank you so much,
man. That's awesome. Man.
That is a pretty cool cup.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I carried a hatchet.
Good.
I carried a hatchet. Oh. There may be something hiding. In good spirit of things.
Oh, boy.
I got you a J. Mattingly. This is the salute to the combat action badge.
My God.
And that's the first batch. I think
First batch.
Yeah. What's that? What's the bottle number?
Is it 125
125.
proof? Man, I really appreciate this.
Yeah. Crack that thing open.
Oh, we will.
No, I'm kidding.
We will. Take some tokes off of it. Man, I can't thank you enough for this. I really appreciate this, brother. With that, also, I think we wanted to try to, if you're cool, we wanted to try to open up for some questions as well from the audience, if you're cool with that.
Oh, yeah, man.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we reached out to some of them and put into some. So those of you that got some questions, we're going to run this through too.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming, man.
You mentioned something that was like very small earlier in the conversation. You said a man without a purpose is an incredibly dangerous man. And it sounds like throughout the course of your journey in service, that purpose might have evolved a little bit. But if you were to be speaking to somebody who is at that place where they're searching for that purpose, they feel like they're operating through life without a meaning and they're kind of stuck, what would you say as far as giving them some advice on how to discover what that purpose is that can give them a little bit of drive every day?
I would say find your faith. Doesn't have to be my faith, but find your faith. You got to believe you're part of something bigger, and stop pushing. I know that in my personal experience, I spent a lot of time fighting what God wanted for me because I wanted things for myself, and I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And when I finally was able to let go, purpose revealed itself. And I think that's the best thing that could have happened, was me just let go and understand that there was a plan for me, even if I did not know the plan. Hopefully that answered the question. Yeah. Okay.
As a spouse or significant other, what is the best way to handle someone who is going through something difficult, as a mental health episode, a mental health issue? What is the best way? Do you push? Do you not push? What is the best way that you would suggest handling that?
Ooh, great question.
Ooh, yeah, that is an excellent question. Yeah, because I think that every situation is unique. It depends on the level of trauma. Trauma is a funny thing. Like somebody could break a nail, but also somebody could see something traumatic in combat, and it's the same. Like, there's a common misconception that PTSD is actually, oh, that's a combat thing. It's not. It's PTSD is you're on the highway and you get in an accident with a semi-trailer. Well, guess what? Every time you see the semi-trailer, you're going to swerve and get away from that because that's trauma. That's PTSD. So I think it depends on the situation. But I think being a bit of both, being a good listener and also giving space. There's obviously warning signs when the situation is bad, because the 22 number is something that's been used, but unfortunately it's higher than that. Those are soldiers that take their own life, and it's a temporary problem, and then they make a permanent decision, which is terrible. But so that's an excellent question. I can certainly say that abandoning them is not a good idea. That unfortunately was what happened to me, and that was probably the worst thing, because it definitely gave me abandonment issues. So I would say, if you're a spouse, stay there, be there. Doesn't mean you should put yourself in harm's way, but most certainly be willing to listen, to understand. You can never give somebody. You can't get somebody to get help unless they're ready to get help. So, and I think this is the same with addiction too. I would say, see if you can get them to acknowledge that they need help, and actually maybe go with them to counseling. That's definitely getting that door open to get professional help is a good thing, if it deems professional help. Sometimes maybe guys don't need professional help, or girls, but just be a good wife. The fact that you asked that question, are you married?
I am.
Well, then you're a good spouse. Because you're asking that. that shows, a genuine caring and not disregarding what somebody's going through on the inside as far as your spouse. That shows that you're a good spouse. So you're probably doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Thank you. I ask it for a lot of people. It's a question that comes up.
Absolutely.
It's a question that comes up from a younger generation that we sometimes speak with, that what do I ask? What do I say?
Yes. Yeah. And then.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great question.
Yeah, that was an awesome question.
If I may, you said it well too, space.
Yeah. Sometimes it's
wide
space.
berth. And if you know your spouse and or your child, because not only that, I had to be brought back to life by my dad, who had never served. He had to bring me back out of my funk. And he would oftentimes, when he would get off the phone with me after I first got back, one of the main things that he would drive home to me was, no one's looking for you. You don't need to be somewhere. There's no radio call you have to hit. You don't have to clean any weapons today. Like, you don't have to be somewhere. And that, after a while, it took me a while to realize that was where a lot of my anxiety, and you want to talk about PTSD, it wasn't from the barrage of insanity that would happen. It would be from the mundane things. Sitting and waiting for something to happen had me on edge constantly. And when someone told me that I didn't need to be somewhere, it calmed me. So it wasn't necessarily a question, because my dad's a cowboy. You can lead a horse to the water, right? But it wasn't necessarily a question that anyone could have asked us that would have been a great opener for us to jump into that question. It was more so not asking the questions and allowing us to go, oh, wow, you see that thing over there? That reminds me of that thing. And allowing them to walk through that door. It's just lead the horse to water, So I thank you for asking that. Not many people ask that. And from a perspective of a spouse, it means a lot. And from a lot of other people now, it comes from a place of, like I said, my parents didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to treat me. My sisters, even though they're both married to military guys, at the time they didn't know either. They didn't know what to ask. So, yeah, it's a crappy answer, but the best answer is don't ask anything. Yeah. But just let them know that you can say it, do it, don't do it, do whatever. And that was the thing that took me time, and it brought me right back. So thank you for that. Yeah. One more? Yeah. I got time. Oh, got anywhere to be?
Yeah, me neither.
First of all, thanks for coming out. If you ain't Cav, fellow Cav guy here. Add a little levity to conversation here. What was your motivation song before you went outside the wire here? Everybody's got one. Every team's got one.
Oh, you got a pump up song?
What was your?
You got a walkout song? Yeah.
Oh, we had like a playlist, man.
Oh, yeah?
We had some of those battery operated little speakers that you got at the PX.
Oh, yeah.
Once you put 12 AAAs or something in, they were hanging in the back, and we had I don't even want to say some of this stuff, because it's like...
What, Celine Dion?
No.
Reba?
Hey, no kidding. We did go on a raid one time.
I am there.
Yeah, and we were listening to, what's that song? Never Stray Too Far from the Sidewalk.
Oh, yeah.
Because of you. And you,
Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson, a bunch of guys listening to that, and we're on a combat mission. It's pretty funny, but no, we would listen to we're Cav, so actually the Flight of the Valkyries. We literally went on a mission one time with our Stetsons on and rocked that song. But it was usually Stained, and I think I speak for everybody in the time period that I was there, because I saw a lot of other guys' videos. Everybody had those montage videos and stuff. Linkin Park.
Yeah, my favorite band for Linkin Park. And Ted Nugent, Stranglehold.
Numb, I think was the name of the song. That was the anthem for everybody there, because you really felt distant, you felt far from home, and that was probably the jam. But everybody had to get in the right mindset, and that was kind of a sad song. But yeah. Oh no, it wasn't Numb. I'm sorry, I had the wrong one. Crawling. That Crawling in My Skin song, man, that was the jam. Everybody wanted to hear that one over and over again.
All right, well, God, thank you guys so much. The great questions. They're getting better and better.
Absolutely.
Like they're getting more and more
Yeah.
defined. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for that. Final thoughts? What you got, man?
Thanks everybody for coming out, man. Being here and listening means a lot. Get involved in your community. I know a lot of you are. I've actually met a couple of you. Yeah, I mean, that's the strength of community is the people in it. So if you can volunteer, if you can help with veteran related causes or any kind of causes, and that's what makes a community strong. That's what keeps a community cohesion together to where they're not like at odds with each other. We didn't get a chance to touch on it, but I gotta say it. Calm in the chaos, man. Calm in the chaos. Chaos of your phones, chaos of all the stuff that goes on, Facebook, Instagram, all these posts that want to rile you up. Be calm in the chaos. You'll make better decisions if you're calm. Don't fall for it.
It's great, man. Hey, thank you. We're gonna do this again. Like we have to. I have so many more questions that I wanted to dive into. We definitely gotta have you back, man. So thank you. Thank you so much.
As long as I get to hang him again.
This really means a lot to me that you're here, man. So it's been great. And just on behalf of all the guys here, just really appreciate what you've done and everything that you continue to do. Strive to be that. And I really appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
So without that, man.
All right, man.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, man.